Welcome back. You're tuned into Editors Roundtable. Well, the next piece that I want to present is on the free float, and a couple of stocks have been moving up. And I think the picture that comes up for you on the screen, the metaphor, float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, it fits perfectly well because there's a move of grace that's followed up by power, and hopefully we don't see a very powerful move on some of these stocks. Just take a look at some of these stocks. Well, they've seen a big run, up anything between 60 to around 90% just in the last 6 months. What's common between them? Very limited free float. So let's take some of them individually. KIOCL, well, the effective free float in the market is just 1%. They have iron ore mines in South India, and their financial performance in the past year was fairly uninspiring, actually, but that stock has seen a big run. The next group of stocks that I'm looking at is some of these banking names. Yes, the PSU banking names, many of them are looking good. They've cleaned up their balance sheets, and fundamentals as well support them. But a few of these stocks, you should take note of the free float. Because you have Punjab and Sindh Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, and UCO Bank, take the Government of India stake as well as LIC. There's less than around 3 to 4% that's actually traded in the markets. And even on a valuation multiple, if you look at some of these stocks, well, they're trading more expensive than their larger peers. Case in point being maybe a PNB, that, on the asset quality front, it has been a bit of a worry, but even more expensive than SBI. And if you take the loan book of all these three stocks, that's PNB, Punjab and Sindh Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, as well as UCO Bank, if you take all of three of them together, multiply it by 2, it'll still be lower than PNB's book, which is around 8.5 lakh crore rupees odd. So largely the move could be because of the limited float. Pulling up a few more names, if you look at HMT as well as ITI, HMT, the Government of India, and the Special National Investment Fund, which is effectively government-owned, well, out there as well, if you take the total holding, it's more than 99%. And the financial performance hasn't been that great. Similar is the case with ITI. Well, there are fundamentals that are working for it, but the float in the market is very limited, only around 2.5% or 2.3% that's traded in the market. And finally, MMTC. For the past year as well, if you look at it, well, the stock has seen a big run, but there's only around 8.5% that's in the market. And the financial performance for the past year, well, you'll say they delivered a profit. They delivered a profit because of the other income. Otherwise, the performance as well wasn't very great. And before we wind this down, I just want to pull up one chart. I recall when I joined CNBC-TV18, where MMTC, there was more than 1,000 rupees. In 2013, there was an OFS that was launched at close to around 60 rupees. The government stake in that time when it was 1,800, 500 rupees odd was 99.3% odd. And it did an OFS at 1/3 of what the price was. And since then, I don't think it's ever gone close to that price as well. So just wanted to put some of these points on board. Some of these stocks, well, they have been floating like butterflies. Hopefully, they don't sting like a bee in the time to come. Hiran, I wanted your view on this piece. Some of these stocks, they've moved up. Everyone's quite happy, but very limited float in the market. Your take?
They will sting like a bee, believe you me, because, look, I think, yanking up stocks, or stocks going up like this without concurrent fundamentals just because the free float is very restricted has never worked or never ended quite well. So I think investors have to be very careful and not get carried away by this momentum. Secondly, all of these that you mentioned are PSUs. What stops the government tomorrow from issuing more equity or offering, when I say issuing as in doing an OFS in many of these stocks, right? And suddenly you will have more float. I mean, if I were the government, I would certainly open the tap and say, okay, here it is. If you're so bullish about these companies, I'm going to issue or I'm going to offer more stock. So I think there is no merit in my view in many of these stocks going up on low float, frankly. I mean, some of them may have merit because if some of the PSU banks have good profitability and they're cheap, maybe that's quite okay. But I think in most of these cases, it just seems to be that these are low float stocks which are going up on momentum. And in my view, all of this never ends quite well.
All right, Hiren, thanks a lot for that advice. Appreciate it. And thanks for joining us on Editors Roundtable as well. With that, it is the end of another day and end of another week, actually. So hope you all have a great weekend, and to all of you as well, good weekend coming up.
Absolutely. Very good weekend, Sonia. I mean, my daughter's birthday and it's daughter's day as well over the weekend. So I'm absolutely thrilled.
Happy birthday. And is there a party coming for us next week?
For sure.
All right, a lot of celebrations here. But thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend.